Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Another episode of Rubitracks After Dark. Nick Bailey once again, joined by always present Trackmaster Scott. How are you, dude?
Good, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, good. We're winter's rolling now, right? We're well, shoot, where you are, I think it already is Christmas Eve, but
Yeah,
out here
well,
we're getting pretty close.
we got a white Christmas coming.
Hey, that's nothing to complain about there, man. A little bit of fresh snow. So you said you're about 6 inches so far?
Yeah, I'd say we probably got 6 inches, just not all in one place. So the snow doesn't come straight down here. It comes down at about a 80-degree angle. So it gets hung up in the
Gotcha.
trees and stuff. But in around my yard, I live
Well, you
like
better
my house is cut out of the trees, so it kind of falls in here. I got 4 to 6 inches in the backyard.
Gotcha. Well, you better convert that to maple leaves for our friends to the
Yeah,
north too.
that's right. Metric maple leaves.
So, like, let's see, two does that like 10, 11 centimeters or
10 centimeters is about 4 inches. So 4 to six
well, that
inches
doesn't do
is
me any good.
four. This is 4 inches. That's six. That's what she said anyway.
There you go. Yeah, right on. Well, yeah. So we last time we talked, we had kind of hinted at we were looking at this pilot UTV program, and
Mhm.
I'll have to say it seems like it's garnered quite a bit of interest here with the UTV folks. I think it's resonating a lot of the for a lot of the reasons that we mentioned. You've got these big heavy vehicles that are out there. The tracks really haven't kept up. We've since the last time we chatted and posted one of these videos, we completed that pilot installation on the Crew Cab Defender. I think it's called an HD10. So it's 1,000 cc,
Mhm.
6 seat Defender Can-Am machine, and it's working right now as we speak. It's running up on the ski hills. So I think Mountain Operations is the department that has that one. So it'll do everything from responding to incidents on the hill, moving operators around, like at break when they go. They have two shifts, um, like a swing shift and then
Mhm.
a graveyard overnight shift for cat operators. So it's one of the machines that'll help shuttle people back and forth to the snowcat because once they deploy from the barn, it could be a long haul back that you wouldn't want to do between shifts. So it's a lot easier just to run a new operator out to a couple of those remote sites and then bring the other guy back who's getting off of work. So
Yeah.
they're going to be a pretty thorough test, for the setup. So it's a set of Blake series tracks on the Can-Am, and it's a good looking unit. I'll tell you, we're
Nice.
super happy with it so far.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of it. That's pretty majestic backdrop there.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely. So a little bit of Lake Tahoe in the background there.
yeah, the first time I looked at that, it's Lake Tahoe, but it's Lake Tahoe underneath the clouds, isn't it? Isn't there cloud cover over the lake?
Yeah, so in that particular photo, we have had the pattern we're in right now. We've had a couple of inversions. So the Tahoe Basin, the reason that it's here and it's a natural lake, it's just a big giant bowl, um, mountains all the way around that just get hammered on with snow. So it's a big lake. It's a super deep lake. It's real pure and pretty because it only has one. They call it a river. It's called the Truckee River, but for most people across the country or in North America, it would be more of a stream. What flows into that thing,
Right.
and then you have an additional like 77 just small streams and tributaries. So there's never a big influx of sediment. All the water that comes in is pretty smooth and gradual. So it makes for some remarkable water clarity and that's kind of Tahoe's claim to fame anyway. So works out pretty good. But in this particular instance with that basin, we kind of had some cool air that came in and settled. We had a couple days of like fog, which is really rare here
Hmm.
because the lake itself is 6,200 feet above sea level. So up here in the mountains, typically it's either snowing, like actively precipitating, whether it's rain in the summer or snow in the winter, or it's sunny. There's really usually not much in between, but we happened to catch it on
Yeah.
the one day where the lake was a little socked in. Yeah. So, anyways, we caught it on that one day where it was kind of sucked in down there, but yeah, otherwise, the big items that they've noted as far as the advantages of the Rubitrack so far. They're super impressed with the mounting system and how simple
Hmm.
it is. Obviously, it's second nature to you and I, but for someone that has only experienced the ATV UTV track setups before, and now sees the Rubitracks, and just how simple their mounting kit is, that was something that was very impressive to them. They estimated that they'd save an hour on labor. Usually they've got two guys that are working when they convert a machine.
Hmm.
So, if they're saving a couple man hours every time they're putting tracks on or taking tracks off for each of the units that they have, that's a pretty substantial cost savings as well. So they're excited
That's
about
right.
it. Yeah.
I suppose people are going to have to learn a different type of wheeling when you go from UTV to our track system, just because of the free range of motion we allow versus what, that complicated mechanism restricted basically, right?
Yeah, I do think like in the market that to me is the best application right now, which is kind of the larger, heavier utility machines.
Hmm.
I think it's a great um, remains to be seen. Some of the sporty stuff that's out there nowadays. I mean, you have some side by sides that are like little race trucks, right?
Yeah.
Tons of suspension travel and big turbo motors, and that are almost 200 horsepower, something like that. If you're planning on racing around and potentially even like jumping snow drifts or over a down log or something like that, um,
Yeah.
this current iteration, the Ruby Track solution might not be what's right for you. But in all honesty, outside of Ken Block and a couple of sizzle reels, I'm not sure how much of that's really going on in the hills.
That's true. Yeah. It's sensationalized for the internet like everything else, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So yeah, so pretty excited about that. And otherwise, in my part of the world,
Hmm.
this is another recent change.
Yeah.
Got the mountain tracks. So
The very first set of mountain tracks, those would be like a collector's item.
there you go. Yeah, serial number 001 or something.
001, yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's a little bit of snow. So where I live is pretty close to the lake level. We get more snow than most people in North America, but our deep snow is really all up and around in those mountains. So haven't had a chance to get up in the hills just yet. As we mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
we're in the thick of the holidays now. We've got Christmas here in 2 days, so
Yes.
probably shortly after Christmas, I will I'll have an opportunity to get up in the hills and just see how it does. But um, I've been around these vehicles long enough, and there's some little things I've already noticed about these tracks that uh, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to perform really well. Just can't wait to try them.
So what are the most obvious things just from your little cruise around the neighborhood?
Yeah, so the enhanced gear ratio is one of them. So
Hmm.
when we first discussed and previewed the mountain track, we had some conversations about the drive sprocket diameter. The mountain tracks wound up with a 20-inch diameter drive sprocket. So
Hmm.
really, all we've done is moved. Well, it helped the mountain track in a couple ways. So the frame overall was bigger, and so it allowed for a little bit more wrap of the belt on the sprocket, which
Hmm.
increased like the drive area, as you well know. But in addition, it brought the overall gear ratio what would be numerically lower, able capable of a little bit higher speed or track speed, which is really cool. Something like the mountain track, where we foresee it's going to go on a pretty well built off road vehicle that probably
Hmm.
has some advanced low range options for rock
Yeah.
crawling. Um, it just makes all of your gearing a little bit more usable. In my case, I've got like a Marlin crawler dual transfer case setup. So I
Yeah.
actually have a reduction box, like a factory Toyota gear driven transfer case reduction box stacked in front of another gear driven case. So I have the factory Toyota low range 2.28 to 1 backed up by a case that's got a custom 4.7 gear set in it. So
Hmm.
I can choose either one or both of those ratios. So I didn't need necessarily a greater reduction by having this 20-inch sprocket. My high range is really usable. It's capable of a little bit more speed. And when I drop it into low, I still got plenty of grunt to get out of some nasty situations. So it's a good
Wow.
combo. So that was one thing that was pretty noticeable. Otherwise, just with that improved attack angle by having this extra high sprocket, even just loading these things in the back of the truck, I typically push them up like a single ATV ramp. If I'm by myself, that's how I like to move these units around. And so just the way that it took, to the wheel wells of the truck and the ease of pushing these things up and over obstacles was already noticeable. So
Mm.
if it's noticeable to me, just manipulating them on flat ground, the truck's going to
Imagine
feel
what,
that advantage as well. And
absolutely. Yeah, it's a mean looking
so,
machine.
yeah, no doubt. It's already been pretty popular here in the neighborhood. Just people, it's funny that people notice even the difference, right? They can tell something's
Yeah,
different, but they can't really figure out what it is. They're used to seeing wild shit in my driveway. That's no doubt.
I can imagine. What about neighborhood kids? You got a few of them around there?
Oh yeah, yeah. So they're all excited about. We're supposed to be getting some snow here in the next week or so, and we'll have to set up a tow line or something like that. See if we can get some kids cruising. The only problem with my neighborhood is our plow service is too good.
Yeah.
In the biggest snowstorms that I've ever had since I've lived here, we have a
Yes.
plow at a minimum of every 6 hours is coming by. So it makes it kind of hard to ever get snow stacks up deep on the street. Uh, so 2 years ago, I've said this on the show before, but 2 years ago we had 40 feet of snowfall here in this neighborhood at my house. This photograph's taken right from the driveway. So, but if you have a plow, that's coming by every 6 hours, you're typically never getting more than 6 or 8 inches of snow that's accumulated on the street surface. So
Hmm.
it's good for normal folk, and, getting to work and getting into town. But for me, sometimes it's kind of a bummer. Limits
Yeah.
my ability to come in and take a day.
So you guys get all that snow there, and the plow comes along and pushes that out of the way. Like you must get to a point where you can't even see your neighbor's house.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll drop one of those photos in here. But yeah. So this is one of that big winter 2 years ago, where my house got about 40 feet. This site here had about 65 feet of snowfall that year.
Wow.
So you remember a couple years ago when I bought that 121 setup from you?
Hmm.
Um, this is this is a gold mine that I help manage here in the northern Sierra Nevada.
Okay.
It's not very high. This is only like 5,500 feet above sea level, but it's on the west side of the mountain, so it kind of takes the full brunt of the storms as they come in off the ocean.
Right.
So we're not doing anything up there this winter, so nothing's on tracks. But over here on the left, just under, there's that orange piece of equipment, but in the foreground, that is the Chevy Trailblazer that we used to run around on tracks.
Oh, wow.
So that black thing is the door mirror. So
Yes.
you're probably looking at three or 3.5 feet of snow on that thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I have some pictures from the street where you can't see my house at all.
Wow.
It sure stacks up, and
Yeah.
we all have snowblowers. That's definitely the way to go in these parts because at
Yeah.
some point with a plow you just run out of to put it. But with the snowblower you can stack it up as big as your house, and it's a good way to store it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what are you get this 6 inches of snow, or if you've been a good boy this year, maybe you'll get a little more. What'll be the first vehicle out there that you put tracks on?
Oh, well, I've been chasing one of my neighbors for a little Mazda.
Oh, a
So
tribute.
yes. So I want to bring one of those into the shop and put a set of 121s or Lakes on it. And that would
There you
be
go.
like that's my $500 vehicle. So I can rub that between two spruce trees that are that far apart and it won't matter, right?
Right.
And then we'll put a set of cross countries on the Rubicon on the new JL. So I
There you
expect if I get time to do
go.
this, and it probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'll have at least one vehicle on tracks for the duration of the winter after that. And then we'll take those lake tracks and I'm going to share them around with a couple of UTV guys and get some video content, if nothing else, out of it. Hopefully the
Yeah,
snow sticks around because we got enough right now to make a good base, and as long as it doesn't melt, we'll have a good cover for the winter.
yeah, very cool. Because you've had a Can-Am Defender two door plus the Polaris 1500. North Star in there. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, the Polaris 1500 Ranger. Yeah. So those
Yeah. So each
both.
of those guys is demo time.
Yeah, it was part of the deal. They let me put their bike in the shop, and I'd let them use my track. So it's a win-win, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, and then I know you'd said before you thought that the Sierra Nevada region here, California and Nevada together, would kind of be the home of the mountain tracks. Since our last show, we've got another sale out here. Our friend Dimitri from Stellar Built, we were able to rehome his existing cross country or X country
Hmm.
136 tracks, and he went ahead and confirmed his order as well. So
Hmm.
that's another mountain track setup that we'll have out here in the region. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
it's going to be serious out there. Poor Dwayne.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's gonna have nothing but big track Toyotas running around. So what do you have going on here for the holidays? Anything special?
Not a whole lot. I'm going to make myself a fish chowder. I've got a pound of lobster and a pound of scallops and a pound of bar clams that are going to go into my seafood chowder on Christmas Day, and that's going to be the sum of my festivities.
Yeah, maybe a
Uh,
little bit of shop time, huh?
yeah, then the rest of my time throughout the holidays will be spent in the shop. We'll be building some parts for Dimitri's tracks and some parts for everyone else's tracks. So
Well, hopefully when Santa's done with his elves here in 24 hours, he can loan you a couple.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I hope everyone out there has a Merry Christmas and happy holidays, no matter what your style is. And maybe here our next one will be right at or just before the new year, and we'll have a little bit of mountain track action content to share with you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that, Nick.
Right on. Well, great chat with you, Scott, and
You too.
until next time.